Hello world! For our final project, we made a fairly simple math quiz in which the user can determine the number of questions, the type of operation for each question, and the range of numbers in which each problem will consist of. The program then calculates the user's score as a percentage and generates scenery with a mountain whose height is determined by the user's score. The main function defines each variable we use and asks the user for the number of questions they want, the range, which we will call int max, and the type of operation they will use. The program then uses a switch statement and, based on the user's input, calls one of four functions based on the operation chosen by the user. These operations include addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Our addition and multiplication functions are almost identical. We are inputting our number of questions, int n, along with our range of numbers, int max, into the function. We use a loop that runs for however many problems the user wants. Within the loop, we have two random number generators that will initialize two variables without exceeding our chosen range. It compares the user's input, z, to the actual answer, f, which is calculated by the program. An if statement will test to see if the answer is correct and increment a counter. The function returns the number that you got correct and plugs that number into the function we call mountain, but more on that later. In our subtraction function, we add 1 to our randomly generated number so we don't divide by 0. In order to prevent a negative answer, we create an if statement to display the greater number first. In order to keep the random number below maximum, we use a modulus operator to get the remainder of the number that is the random number divided by the chosen maximum. We use this remainder for each operation instead of the initial random number. For instance, if our chosen max is 20 and the random number is 42, the number used for operation will be the remainder of 42 divided by 20, plus 1, which is equal to 3. Last but not least, we have our division function. Here, the challenge is to make sure that we don't end up with a remainder or a decimal answer. In order to do this, we find the product of two non-zero random numbers and ask the user for the quotient of that product divided by one of two random numbers. We then use an if statement to compare the user's answer to the quotient to see if their answer is correct. So technically, our chosen maximum will limit our answer. Our final function generates scenery. The mountain in the scene is based on your score in the quiz. For example, getting 75% will create a mountain that's 75 rows high. It does this by converting your score into a percentage over the total number of questions. The percentage is then converted into an integer called counter that determines the number of rows high the mountain will be. We have a loop that repeats as many times as the counter allows it. For each iteration of the loop, we have two nested loops, one to output a certain number of empty spaces, and another to output a number of asterisks. The first instance of the loop outputs a row that mostly empty spaces and only one asterisk. Every consecutive row after that outputs one less empty space and one more asterisk until the number of rows outputted equals your score percentage for the quiz. The final result will be a triangle of asterisks we call a mountain, and your score on the quiz will determine its height. Okay, so let's run our program. How many questions would I like? I'd like 4 questions, please. Also, with a range of 8, and let's have them be division problems. As you can see, I've gotten 3 out of the 4 questions correct, which should yield 75%. And here goes our mountain. There, 75%. Right there. Now, if we climb back all the way up to the peak, all the way up, we could see that our score is displayed on the top left-hand corner. Right there, 75%. Right? Okay, now going all the way back down, it's clear that the mountain is 75 rows high, as indicated by the percentage on the bottom left-hand corner, based on our score. Let's do another instance of the quiz. Here, let's do 5 questions with a range of 5 and multiplication problems. In this instance of the quiz, I only got 1 out of 5 questions right, which should yield 20%, and therefore the mountain should be a lot smaller. Once the quiz is done, the mountain is generated. As you can see, the mountain is a lot smaller. With a score of 20%, the mountain is only 20 rows high. And that's it. Bye.